Original audio drama from the Questers Theatre.
The Interview by Doc Watson.
And finally, I'd like you to sign this.
What is it?
A form, a simple form, the final part of the interview.
Yes, but what is it for?
Sign this, and I can formally offer you the job.
So I've got the job then?
Only if you sign that.
So is this my contract?
Part of your contract.
Oh, well, thank you for that. To tell you the truth, I didn't think I was going to be offered it.
Really?
I thought I made one or two, well, to put no finer point on it, one or two boo-boos.
Boo-boos?
You know, silly answers. I thought I might have, well, you know, blown my chances.
Oh, no. You came out with flying colours.
So all I have to do is sign that?
On the bottom line.
Near the small print.
Which is something you don't have to worry about.
No?
No, not at all. Those circumstances rarely come up, once in a lifetime.
Well, that's a relief. I mean, I wouldn't want to sign something that gets me into a lot of hot water.
Oh, no, not at all. Everyone signs it, you'll find. It's no big deal.
Oh, well, that's all right then. Where do I sign?
On the bottom line.
Yes. Good. Super.
Still?
Perhaps I ought to read it.
There's rather a lot of it.
Still, perhaps.
But it's couched in legalese.
Couched?
Too high-flown for the man in the street.
Still.
Do you want this job or not?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Who wouldn't?
Precisely. There were a lot of candidates.
Oh, I can believe that.
It took a team of 24 to narrow it down to a very long list, and then another team had to come in to relieve them to narrow it down to an even shorter long list. Many of them were hospitalised with exhaustion. And then an even fitter team had to be brought in to make the final shortlist, and we have just spent the last week interviewing that shortlist of candidates to come up with the final candidate.
Me.
You. We're all exhausted. But the winning post is crossed, and you are the ideal candidate for the job.
I'm very flattered.
You should be.
So much time and energy has been expended.
27 people were hospitalised, one's in intensive care.
And all for me.
Or someone like you, yes. So, now all you have to do is place your pen on that paper.
But
There should be no buts, no ifs, no whys, no wherefores. You sign there.
But I really think, after all this time and effort on everyone's part, I shouldn't just sign away without a moment's thought. It seems a bit ungrateful.
Ungrateful? You're being ungrateful by not putting your signature on that document.
But you make it sound very important.
It's a document. You've signed forms, agreements without a single thought before. You've ticked boxes that you've read and understood the terms and conditions when in fact you've done nothing of the sort. But now, when it really doesn't matter, you hesitate, you delay, you hold things up.
I don't want you to think I'm ungracious.
Ungracious? Of course you're bloody ungracious. Sign or go. We have number 2 waiting in the wings.
Where?
In another room.
So if I don't sign, she or he will sign instead.
I've told you. This is a job that people would give their hind legs for.
And all I have to do is sign?
Precisely.
I really do think I should read it.
It merely says, if you must know, if this will resolve this matter, it merely says...
Merely?
That you're not to talk about what goes on in here.
Not talk?
About anything whatsoever. Not what goes on, not what's said, not what's done. In any quarter from the chairman down. That's what it specifies.
Not the chairman?
Not the vice chairman. Not the chairman of vice. Not the CEO, not the deputy CEO, not the chair of HR or PR or SR or RR. Not even the man who cleans out the drains.
Why not?
That's the rule.
But I don't
We
think
don't
that...
want matters bandied about. Nothing's to be revealed, not to another living soul.
That seems a bit of an odd
That's the deal.
That seems a bit extreme.
It's normal practice these days. In business.
But in this business?
In any business. It's well known in business circles.
But surely that isn't...
Take it or leave it.
Why? What does go on in here?
It's all on the QT.
Top secret?
Not quite top secret.
I thought you just said it was...
Shh! Walls have ears.
But you said nobody was allowed to talk about it outside the factory gates.
In or out the factory gates.
But if no one talks about what goes on in here, how do you get anything done?
We don't. Not for some time. Not for months. That's why your job, or rather your potential job, the job that you've just been offered but haven't yet accepted, that's why you, or someone like you, will have to resolve this conundrum. We await your answer to the problem.
But if I can't talk to anyone, can I talk to you?
You certainly can't talk to me. I merely interview and make offers. You must sign or we'll never be able to work again. We are in a state of stasis. You will throw thousands of people onto the scrap heap, including yourself. It's as simple as that.
But this is ridiculous.
Ridiculous it may seem, but that's the way things are and will stay unless...
But if I don't sign, I can walk away and go back into the normal world. Apply for another job.
Well, actually, no.
What do you mean, no? Who's going to stop me?
You saw the security for getting in. Well, there's even more for getting out. And we can't let you go.
No. Now this really is ridiculous.
You may consider it in that light, but you must see it from our point of view. You've been here. You had a look around. As part of the preliminary stages towards the interview, you saw things.
But there was nothing to see, except for corridors and doors and stairways and lifts. That's the same in every office block. I certainly didn't see anything that might constitute a breach of something.
But how do we know that purely by chance, accidentally, you didn't catch a glimpse of something you shouldn't, or overheard a fragment of conversation?
But I didn't.
You say that now, but that may be purely a fiction to enable you to go outside and tell what you saw and heard.
But I didn't. Or nothing that makes any sense.
It may not have held any significance for you, but others will know how to put the pieces of information together, and then where would we be?
But that's paranoia.
Total security is based on paranoia.
But you can't keep me here. I have a family, friends outside.
They will miss you, no doubt. but we shall furnish them with a plausible explanation.
What are you going to tell them?
We have various scenarios prepared to meet all occasions.
Does this happen often?
Not often, fortunately.
So, what happens now?
Well, that's entirely up to you. You could try and make a foolish break for it, but the security guards have their orders. You could, faced with no alternative, sign, of course. That option hasn't been closed to you. Or you will be taken from this place to another place.
That sounds ominous.
Well, I'm attempting a little drama, a little, how shall we say, inserting a little tension into the situation to tip you over the edge.
That doesn't really explain what happens.
I don't know what happens. I've never been appraised of what happens. But then I've shown very little interest in what happens because heaven forbid that it could ever happen to me.
Is that likely?
My position's safe for the moment.
But the sword of Damocles hangs over your head as well.
As it does over all employees here, I fear, but that does create a certain amount of loyalty to the cause.
But what is the cause?
Total secrecy, at all costs. That's the best way to explain it, to stop rivals.
Are there rivals?
Business is made up of rivals. There's always someone out there looking to get the edge, so we have to maintain the edge to be one step ahead.
Not 2 steps.
That would be to our advantage, but that's not possible. It's a cutthroat, a cut-and-thrust world. Now you've been presented with all the alternatives.
Pointing out that there are no alternatives.
You could put it like that.
I really have very little choice in the matter. Except to point out
What?
that I'm not really an applicant for this post.
You're not?
No. You are the real applicant, and I am merely the interviewer.
Really? No, that can't be true. I have your application forms here.
Oh, a mere ruse.
But you came in from the outside.
Did you see me?
You answered all the questions. You passed all the grades.
Oh, a put-up job. They weren't testing me, but testing you. And you failed.
What?
Oh, you became too sympathetic. You showed too much of your human side for being interviewer.
No, that's not fair.
Your post is terminated as of now.
But that's not in the rule book.
You have one rule book, but there are others, and I have the supreme rule book, which overrides your rule book. Your post has expired, and so are you.
That's not...
There will be someone to see you soon, to discuss your future, to make a final decision. You may wait here. Someone will see you shortly. In the interview by Doc Watson, the interviewer was played by Wendy Megeney, the applicant was played by Alexandra McDevitt. The audio designers were Dennis Dracup and Stephen Dracup. The audio engineer was Laurie Swan. This adaptation was conceived and directed by David Erdos. This was an original audio drama from the Questors Theatre.